We have a Coppola questions before we move on.
Coppola questions. I mean, we sort of asked this in the moment, but what was with the shuffling? Like, why is he walking around so weird in the post-war part of the film?
Just it's either brain damage or PTSD, I think.
Yeah. Do we get the sense that maybe some of the, well, I mean, a bomb blew up in his face, so I guess, could have really affected him mentally, both psychologically and actually, like, his brain could have been kind of scrambled by that. I don't know. It feels like a Cage choice. Like, I think he'd be shuffling around.
Yeah.
This is like we've said a million times, like he always tries to bring some physicality to his characters. And I guess this was his way of showing the broken man that Al is post-Vietnam.
Yeah.
I mean, we sort of asked this in the moment too, but do you think there's any symbolism to Birdy in that Jesus Christ pose on the ground with the like cross of the window over the top of him? Great Soundgarden song, by the way.
I think it's a symbol of innocence.
Yeah.
As Christ-like figures often are, I guess, sacrificed by the world, I suppose, through a fault of their own.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's just what we're supposed to get from it.
He's kind of like, through, I guess, no fault of his own. He's a sweet, weird kid.
Yeah.
Who seems like a genuinely good person, who is kind of like thrown into this world that he doesn't understand and like surrounded by circumstances that are not to his liking. I don't know. It's just a lot of, I guess the dove and the innocent thing of Jesus or whatever. I don't know. We also sort of talked about this, but like towards the end of the film, Birdy says he can fly and it's like a waking dream. So is that what's happening in the hospital? Like he's just flying around and in his head.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah, that's his escape.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not really there when people are trying to talk to him.
Right.
Especially
that's
at
why
the beginning.
He doesn't respond to stuff. He's just off disassociating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Until he eventually starts getting through, until I guess Al gets through to him and, I guess to some extent he's responsive because he thinks about things like the William Penn statue that makes him smile. And
So something's getting through, which could explain the disembodied wall of voices at the beginning, is like he's hearing things while he's kind of flying around. Yeah. And you do see like throughout the movie, he seems to have more clarity in his eyes each time we see him in the mental hospital. So like he's slowly returning to his body through
I think it's just
help
like
of Al.
Al left, and that was the beginning of the psychosis, the psychotic break. It was fully triggered when he crashed in the helicopter and was just out, the horrors of war. And then Al coming back into his life is what started to pull him out of it, and then eventually pulls him out of it.
Yeah.
Because they kind of, like Al says, they need each other, basically. And like we said, it flips to where Al needs him just as much as he needs Al, and we kind of see it as the story progresses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really throughout the film, Al never really seems to need Birdy all that much. He just thinks, well, there's this, a fun, weird kid who I like, but, he doesn't really understand him, and he doesn't really need him in the same ways that Birdy needs Al.
Yeah.
He's like his only friend and kind of the only person who will go along with his weird shit that he likes to do. Flying around garbage dumps and dressing up like a pigeon, all that kind of shit. What do you think? We sort of, I don't know if we need to ask this again, but Berta flying and killing herself, like flying to Al and then accidentally killing herself. What exactly was the symbolism there? Like we sort of said, I think it was him seeing through her eyes, and then that's the end of their friendship. It was like her dying.
Yeah.
Which, like, so what was the beginning of, like, when he first gets Berta, was that the beginning of him losing his relationship with Al? Like, they're good friends, and then he slowly becomes less connected to him the longer he spends with Berta.
Right, because he gets more and more isolated in his room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Getting naked and watching birds. And then it seems like Al's having a harder and harder time getting through to him and like understanding him. And when he finally comes in after the prom and he's basically like, what are you doing? Like, you know.
Yeah, I think we miss a lot. I think there's a lot cut for time, obviously, but there seems to be a chunk missing from that after prom scene to their point where Al comes back to tell him, hey, like, goodbye, I'm leaving, like shipping out. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine in that window that we're missing, Birdy's become way more distant from Al. And so, that's like Nigel said, symbolic of the end of their, like the death of their friendship.
Maybe it's also like, I'm just thinking of it like an allegory of like when somebody gets married or like gets into a relationship and the friendship starts to dissolve because you're spending so much time with the girl and like,
but it's just
adds another creep level, but maybe sort of that same thing. Like maybe that's what the idea was of that relationship. I don't think so, but do you think Birdy faked the whole thing?
No.
Getting into the hospital?
No.
It was like a real psychosis.
Because
Al starts to question him
before he was ever in any kind of trauma like that.
Right. Mm-hmm. I think it was his way of safeguarding himself from the horrors of what he went through. I don't think he entered that state while he was in the jungle of Vietnam. He would be dead if he was. I think that was the way he ended up coping once they recovered him.
Yeah.
He slipped into that.
Put him back into a cage.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. That was his way of coping and trying to block out everything that he experienced while he was out in the jungle.
Yeah. And maybe he totally forgot about that until that moment where he starts sobbing in the hospital.
Could be. Like he just forgot about being a human in general and his life. He was just off being a bird until then, and that's what brought him back.
Mm-hmm. And then my final question is, what do you think happened after that final scene?
They both got locked up for the rest of their lives.
I could see them both getting not Birdy, but I could see Al getting court-martialed or something.
Just attacked a bunch of orderlies.
A superior officer that was a major. The doctor was a major.
The doctor was a major. You assaulted a major.
And it's not the first time he's done it. So, you know, like you said, they maybe let it slide while he was in Nam, but he's back on American soil after the war and he assaults him.
Yeah.
You know,
dishonorable discharge for sure.
I guess it depends. It depends if the major might not want to like press charges or anything on him because he's used to it because he deals with traumatic brain injuries in people.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess the happy ending we're supposed to take is that now they're back together and they both get to be free because, you know, presumably Birdy snapped out of it. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe every time there's anybody else, he just turns back into a bird. But I think that it's just back to them up to their old shenanigans when they were kids. So it's like Birdy's back.
Just picture like the first time that he has to deal with like his kid breaking something in the house. He just takes off his clothes and perches on the fucking side of the bed.
Yeah.
I can't deal with this.
Yeah, I don't think Birdy's ever going to have a normal relationship with a woman. No. So,
guess what is Birdy's real name? But he doesn't have one.
He doesn't have
one. They never say it. Like, is Birdy his actual name, or was that just what everybody calls him, and they never bother to call him anything else? At least in the narrative.
I think he has a real name, but it's his nickname, and we just for our purposes never need to know it because the only parts of his life that we are shown are the parts where he's obsessed with fucking birds. So I'm assuming there's a lot more going on with his life, but the part of his life that we're shown, all bird.
Yeah.
My other one is, why did Birdy's mom keep all the baseballs? Like, what possible reason? She doesn't seem sentimental about it, and they're not hers, and they're not her kids' balls. They're random neighborhood kids. I mean, unless they're not even the original baseballs, they just sent a bunch of old baseballs over and said they were the ones from Birdy's mom as a last-ditch effort to get him to snap out of it.
Why not just throw them in the garbage or something?
Yeah, like Birdy says, I think she burns them. I don't think they exist anymore. Maybe that's it. Maybe she actually did burn them, and they just got a bunch of old baseballs and sent them over as a treatment. And then it was like, for some reason, that's the reality that pulls Birdy back. Is like, oh my god, the balls actually existed.
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
I mean, I thought
helps him break out of it.
They were like, because they're all dirty. I thought maybe they were buried. Because Al does mention that he thinks that she buries them. And maybe she just does that because she doesn't want the kids playing anymore outside.
Yeah. But you see like the normal thing to do would just be throw them away. Why would you keep them all? Why would you go to the extra trouble of burying them?
Maybe Birdy was digging them out of the garbage or something after. Like a seagull.
He's not a dog.
Yeah.
He's a bird. Birds don't dig. Do they?
Well, they dig through the trash. Pigeons do, especially.
They peck. They peck through the trash. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he's pecking them out of there.
I got the sense that they were the real baseballs. And maybe one of them he recognized or something. Like that was the one that he saw on the floor. It was like, well, I remember this one that we played with that one day and it had a split seam or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it seems like it's something, it was a connection to the very first time he met Al was Al saw him up in the tree while they were playing baseball. And he didn't want to play baseball with them because he was
it makes sense from the story perspective, but it just raises the question of why does she have them all?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah,
she just chuck them.
Do you think he's a huge Eagles fan? The band and the football team? No, just joking.
Yeah, I do. Fly Eagles fly.